Hello, personal finance class. So we're going to get back into chapter 10, which is all about personal loans and financing decisions. So in part 3 of chapter 10, we're going to talk about financing your education. So this is going to be really important to a lot of you in the very near future. You guys want to go to college, but how are you going to pay for it? College is very expensive, right? So there are different ways, different programs, both federally and available in the private markets, for you to be able to that are going to help you pay for your college education. So, however, let's back up for just a second and talk about it from an investment perspective. So we've talked a little bit about investments. We haven't talked about the meat of it yet in this class, but what is an investment? An investment is something that you buy in the hopes of making more money on it, right? You're not just buying, it's not like a car. You don't buy a car to, have that asset appreciate and be worth more. If you are, it's a bad decision. But an investment is typically things like stocks and bonds, mutual funds, things that you're going to invest in and are going to be worth more later so you can sell them at a profit. So typically, we don't talk about education as an investment, but it really is. Education is an investment in yourself and your earning potential in whatever career that you decide to go into is going to be increased. Statistics show that someone with a college degree makes a lot more money. I forget the statistics. It's a lot. They make a lot more money throughout the life of their career than does someone who does not have a college education. So you can think of financing your education as you're borrowing now to invest in yourself. All right. You're actually paying to improve yourself and to improve your earning potential in the future. And as an investment, education is a much better investment than most investments, than most stocks, most bonds, most mutual funds, that sort of stuff. They pay back very handsomely over time. So, our objectives for Chapter 10, Part 3. We're going to talk about Stafford loans. Staffords are a type of federal loans offered by the federal government. So, what are Stafford loans and who can use them? Second of all, what's the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized Stafford loans? There's a big difference between the two of them. You're going to learn what that is. And third, what are Perkins loans and who can use those? They're also a federal loan type. They're fundamentally different than a Stafford loan, and we're going to learn about those as well. And finally, what are some additional sources of education loans? Let's say you need more. Stafford loans and Perkins loans, they're fantastic instruments that we all have available to us, or that some of us in some cases have available to us. But sometimes it's not enough. If you're going to a really expensive school, if you have a highly specialized area that you're going to be studying in, if you want to study medicine, become a doctor, Stafford loans are not going to get you there. You're going to need to find other ways to pay for school because it's much more expensive and you go for many more years. You want to be a doctor, you're going for, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's 4 years of undergrad, going to pre-med, and then you go to medical school for another X amount of years. There's a lot more schooling you have to go through, and it tends to be much more expensive as well. So Stafford loans probably aren't going to get you there. They're one option, and they're a good option, but you might need more, and there are additional ways that you can get that. Again, just as a reminder, I do expect that you're going to be taking notes and filling your notebook with these notes as we go through it. You can always pause and catch up on the notes if I'm going a little too fast. So shouldn't be a problem. I think this is going to be a relatively short one today, only a couple slides here. So let's get into it. Okay, part 3, financing your education. So sadly, the expense of an education can rival the cost of buying a home, especially if you're looking to go, to specialty school and, advanced degrees or postgraduate, graduate. If you're going to get a doctorate, you can end up with a lot of student loan debt. And it can rival the cost of buying a home. So student loans are a type of personal loans. We've talked about personal loans, and what is a personal loan again? Yes, simply put, a personal loan is just a loan made to an individual. That simple. So federal loans, so meaning loans that are made available by the federal government, are the largest source of student loans. So let's talk about Stafford loans. So Stafford loans are the most common type of loans that people take out to finance their education. So there are annual and there are total limits, and these change based on economic conditions, and they typically go up by a certain percentage every year. But it's usually not enough to cover college, anyways. It's a good way to pay for part of your college expenses, but in most cases, it doesn't cover all of them. And the great thing about this type of personal loan is that your payments don't begin until you're no longer a student. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that they allow you to not pay until you're no longer a student? So, yeah, exactly. You're still a student. You don't have time to have a full-time job. Most people couldn't handle that. I certainly didn't. You can't have a full-time job and make a lot of money while you're going to school. There's just not enough time in a day to do both. So, with that understood, when they issue personal loans for education, they allow you to go through school and finish all your schooling, take out all of your loans, and then start paying them back after you graduate and get a job, and then you're able to pay them back. And there's typically a 6-month, or with Stafford loans, there is a 6-month grace period. So after you graduate, they give you a 6-month time frame to go out and get a job, put that degree to use, get a job, start making money, and then start paying back your loans. That's when the bills will start showing up. So there are two types of Stafford loans. There are subsidized and there are unsubsidized Stafford loans. So subsidized Stafford loans are need-based. So not everyone will be able to take them out. You must show, so I'll get to that part, but interest charges do not accrue while you're in school. So in other words, if you take out $30,000 worth of Stafford loans throughout your education, so you take out whatever that would average out to be, $8,500 per year. So 4 years, you'll be around that $30,000 mark. Interest does not accrue. So when you start paying them back, or when you graduate school, it's still going to be that $30,000. So interest does not accrue while you're in school. That's the main difference. But again, not everyone's going to qualify. You have to show that you have a higher need. You have to have, lower household income, or perhaps no income. Maybe your parents aren't helping you at all with college. So those types of students can qualify for subsidized loans. All right, unsubsidized loans. These are available to everybody, regardless of how much money your parents make or you make, or how much you have for college, how much your school costs. You can borrow unsubsidized Stafford loans. This was one way that I got through college. My parents took out Stafford loans in my name, and we used those to pay for school. And then I started paying them back after I graduated. And the key difference here is that interest accrues immediately. As soon as you start taking that loan out every month, it starts compounding. So if you take out, $30,000 in actual loans in that 4-year span, by the time you start paying it back, you're going to owe more than that $30,000. Probably going to be closer to, $31,000, $32,000, $33,000, because it will start compounding on a monthly basis while you're still in school. Okay, Perkins loans, they're a different kind of federal loan. They are very similar to Stafford's, except only students with what's considered to be exceptional needs will qualify. This will typically be reserved for students of color, or specific races or things like that, and who are also have a significant need for income, and they don't have household income that will be able to allow them to afford college without these loans. These are a lower interest rate loan as well. So even when you start paying them back, it'll be at a lower interest rate than a Stafford loan. There's also a longer grace period. So once you do graduate, there's a longer time that you won't have to start paying them back. Okay, so let's say you've taken all your Staffords and Perkins loans and still not enough. Or maybe you don't qualify for unsubsidized or Perkins loans, but you still need more to get you through school. A lot of times, your parents they don't have to pay for your college. A lot of us are lucky. I was lucky that my parents paid for a significant amount of mine. But especially when you get into, postgraduate work, like with my master's degree, it's not like I'm, 30 years old and I can go back and, call up my parents and say, hey, I'm going back to school. I need you to pay for my college again. Yeah, that's not the way it works. You got to figure out how to pay for that on your own. I was lucky that my company paid for mine. And they ended up paying at least $30,000 for my MBA. So I was lucky to have had that, option afforded to me at the time. However, there are other sources of financing your education. So these can be attained through private lenders. So of course, when we talk about public lenders, public meaning that it's government and it's available to all, or at least all those who qualify. Private lenders are individual companies. So it's not the government, it's individual companies. You can go to a bank or a specialty loan provider who specializes in student loans. Another very popular way that a lot of parents are able to afford to send their kids to school is by taking out a second mortgage. So we've talked a bit about owning a home, and as you pay off of that loan, you pay it down over time, you build and you owe less than what the house is worth. And what's that called? If you have if you own an asset and it's worth more than what you owe on it, what's that called? What's the difference between what it's worth and what you owe? Yes, that's called equity. So what parents can do is borrow against their home. If it's already paid off, you can take out another mortgage. You're basically selling your house back to the bank, and then they're going to let you make payments on it again. So you can do that even if you're completely, if you own your house outright. Or you can take out a home equity loan. We talked about those. What exactly is a home equity loan? Right, that's just a loan that you take out on the equity that is available. So it's the difference between what you own and what you owe. You can borrow against that via a home equity loan. Right, and that is it. So our objectives for Chapter 10, Part 3. What are Stafford loans and who can use them? Remember, there's two kinds. I need to know about both. Second, what is the difference between those subsidized Stafford loans and unsubsidized Stafford loans? What are the major differences between them? What are Perkins loans and who can use those? And finally, what are additional sources of education loans other than the federal loans, Stafford's, unsubsidized, subsidized, and Perkins? All right, excellent. So we're all done with Chapter 10 notes. So keep an eye on Classroom, and we're going to start working through the vocab and the chapter questions. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email and let me know. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.